Hi, 7th grade. Welcome to your Topic 2 review. The equation y equals 7.6 represents a proportional relationship. What is the constant of proportionality? Or remember, we can spell constant of proportionality with a K. And remember, the equation for a proportional relationship is y equals kx. So if we have y equals 7.6x, and we know k is our constant of proportionality, what took the place of the k in this specific equation? The 7.6. That means our answer is just as easy, B. Number 2. The tables show the numbers of green and purple beads Mia and Riley used to make 5 different decorative picture frames. Part A says, are the numbers of green and purple beads in Mia's picture frames proportional? Write an equation that relates the number of purple beads, P, to the number of green beads, G. I'm trying to make this smaller. There we go. Okay, so first question we have to answer, are they proportional? So remember, proportional means they have equal ratios. So we're going to look for their constant of proportionality. Remember, we have to do y divided by x. Our first row is x, our second row is y. So if we go through and we do 7 divided by 2, that's going to give us 3.5. 14 divided by 4 is 3.5. 21 divided by 6, 3.5. 28 divided by 8 is 3.5. And last but not least, 35 divided by 10 is 3.5. Make sure to check all of them in case they trick you. But it is proportional, and our k value is 3.5. So remember from question number 1, a proportional relationship is y equals kx. But here you have to pay super close attention. They want us to use P and G for green and purple. So instead of y, we're going to use P. So P equals K, and instead of X, we're going to use G. So our equation, well, yes, it's proportional, and our equation is P equals 3.5 G. Part B, are the numbers of green and purple beads in Riley's picture frames proportional? Write an equation that relates the number of purple beads P to the number of green beads G. So we're looking here again. We've got x and y. We're trying to find out if they have equal ratios, equal constants of proportionalities. So we do 8 divided by 5, that's 1.6. 13 divided by 10 is 1.3. I already know that this is not proportional because these rates are not equal, but I went along and did all of them anyways because you can never be too sure. 1.2, 1.15, and 1.12. So even though there are 2 rates that are proportional, it is not all proportional. So are the numbers of green and purple beads in Riley's picture frames proportional? No. Since they are not proportional, we cannot write the equation. There is no way to write an equation. Number 3. The graph shows how many sheets of paper a paper folding machine can fold in a certain number of minutes. What is the constant of proportionality, and what does it mean in this situation? Again, k equals y divided by x. So all we have to do is find a good solid point. I like this point right here. That's 20, 3,000. I got that from finding the x value if you go down, 20, and finding the y value, 3,000. Okay, so when I'm finding the constant of proportionality, I do y divided by x. Remember, this is alphabetical. This is my x and y. So I've got 3,000 sheets over 20 minutes. Don't forget to write your labels. So then if I do 3,000 divided by 20, that gives me 150 over 1. Don't forget to answer this question. What does it mean in this situation? You get 1 point for finding the correct constant of proportionality, but they also need to know that you know how to read the graph. So as long as you put your labels in, you should be fine. There are 150, I'll do it in a different color, 150 sheets folded in 1 minute. All right, part B, choose an ordered pair on the graph. What does it represent in this situation? Well, you can use this point. You could use, here's another good point, that is 40, 6,000. Again, they're just trying to see, do you know what it means? What does the 20 stand for? Well, you follow the 20 down, that's time in minutes. So in 20 minutes, 3,000, well, what does the 3,000 stand for? Sheets are folded. So 3,000 sheets are folded. They only asked for one, but I'm going to show you another example. This 46,000, same thing. What does the 40 come from? Follow the 40 down. That's 40 minutes. So in 40 minutes, and where does the 6,000 come from? Follow it over, read the label. 6,000 sheets are folded. Number 4. Janet hiked 3/4 of a mile in 1/4 of an hour. How fast did she hike in miles per hour? So they want miles over hours, and they're looking for that unit rate. So we put our miles on top, 3/8. We put our hours on the bottom, 1/4. But if I'm looking for a unit rate, I'm looking for my denominator to be 1. Well, to get 1/4 to 1, we multiply by the reciprocal, so multiply by 4/1. Remember, keep, change, flip. 3 times 4 is 12. 8 times 1 is 8. So we have 12/8. Well, I know I can reduce that to being, well, 8 goes into 12 once with 4 left over. But I know I can divide both 4 and 8 by 4. So that gives me 1 1/2 miles per hour. Number 5. Rachel used 4.5 cups of apple juice in a holiday fruit punch that serves 12 people. Art used 4.7 cups of apple juice in a holiday fruit punch that serves 10 people. How much more apple juice is in one serving of Art's holiday fruit punch? So that's telling me I need to find the unit rate for both of them. So if we've got Rachel's, she uses 4.5 cups for 12 people. So if we get that unit rate to say how many servings is for one person, well, how do I go from 12 to 1? I divide by 12. So I got to divide 4.5 by 12, because whatever you do to the top, you have to do to the bottom. So that's going to give me 0.375. And then we want to do Art's. He uses 4.75 cups for 10 people. Please, please pay very close attention. If you've got cups on the top, you got to have cups on the top. If you got people on the bottom, you got to have people on the bottom. Their rates need to match. They need to be equivalent in order to be able to compare them. So we're still trying to figure out how much they have for one person. But this time, to go from 10 to 1, we divide by 10. Whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. 4.75 divided by 10 is 0.475. Now be very careful, because both of those answers were answers in our multiple choice. Don't just think, oh, that must be the answer. Reread the question. See what it's asking you. Make sure you're answering the question. How much more apple juice is in one serving of Art's than in Rachel's? So we need to subtract 0.475 minus 0.375. That will give us 0.1 cups. Number 6, the water pump for a swimming pool can move 166.5 gallons of water in 3 minutes. The number of gallons G is proportional to the number of minutes M that the pump operates. Which of the following equations represents the relationship between G and M? Well, this is that same thing again. Y equals kx, but they want you to use their variables. Well, time is always the x variable. So 3 minutes is the x, So that means M is the X. And then the other one, the gallons, is the Y. So instead of Y, we're going to put G equals KM. And to find our constant of proportionality, we always do K equals Y divided by X. But again, they switched our X and our Y again on us to be G over M. They're just variables as long as we know where to plug them in. So the number of gallons we have is 166.5 divided by 3. So my K equals 55.5. So I plug that into the equation. G equals 55.5 M. Remember, the only number you're changing is that K value. Number 7. A grocery store manager uses a half a crate of apples for every 3/4 crate of oranges on a fruit display. How many crates of oranges will she need if she uses 2.5 crates of apples? So there are 2 ways to solve this. I'm going to show you both of them. So we have apples and oranges. I like to set up a table, a half a crate for apples and 3/4 of a crate for oranges. That's our ratio. If we have 2.5 crates of apples, well, how do I go from 1/2 to 2.5? I can multiply by 5. If you're not sure what that is, how to find that, what number to multiply by, you can change these to decimals, so 0.5 and 2.5, and divide. If you do 2.5 divided by 0.5, you will get 5. So whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. 3/4 times 5 gives me 3.75. The other way to do this is you can find the ratio. You can do oranges to apples, so 3/4 over 1/2. We can find the unit rate. Multiply by 2 over 1, that's the reciprocal. When you ever do to the bottom, you do to the top. So that gives me 6 over 4, which is equal to 1.5. But that's not what we're trying to find. We're trying to find when we're going to have 2.5 crates of apples. So multiply both sides by 2.5. Multiplying that unit rate. So if you do 1.5 times 2.5, you will get 3.75. That is the same answer both ways. You only have to do it one way. The last question, 8. At the local bookstore, Jim bought 2 paperback books for $13. Maria bought 5 paperback books for $32.50, and Tanya bought 7 paperback books for $45.50. Part A, use the graph to represent the situation. We have to graph them. So 2 corresponds with 13. 5 corresponds with 32.5. Uh-oh, I don't see that written. So let's figure out what each break is. Well, there's 2 boxes between 0 and 13. So that means halfway between is 650. So then we break it down. This would be 1950. This would be 3250. This is 4550. And this is 5850. Okay, so 5 paperback books. 5 would be here for $32.50. 7 paperback books. 7's here for $45.50. If we buy 0 books, that's going to cost $0. Draw a straight line. Number of books have a proportional relationship. Yes, it is straight and it goes through the origin. You must have both for full credit. What does 1,650 represent and what does 00? Same thing we did before. 1 book costs $6.50. 0 books cost $0. Read the labels. All right, 7th grade. Good luck on your test. I know you will do super great.